So the Taliban has been in charge in Kabul since the 15th of August earlier this year, but there is little sign of any kind of consistent peace or stability being established in the country. The country, of course, is facing different types of challenges, and one of the most pressing issues is, of course, of women's rights. The Taliban, at the time when it was in power in the last few years of the 90s decade, had been infamous for exploiting the rights of women and minorities. But this time round, they have promised to uphold women's rights according to the Sharia law. Now, how exactly is the group planning to do that? And moreover, Afghanistan is in the middle of an unprecedented crisis of its economy. More than 50% of the population in Afghanistan, despite the Americans having virtually pulled the strings in the country for the last 2 decades, more than 50% of Afghans live in dire poverty and hunger. And this has come as the international community is trying to keep the country's assets frozen. And finally, what of course is the biggest challenge, according to the Taliban, that is staring Afghanistan at this point of time. Taliban's Minister for Commerce and Industries, Nuruddin Azizi, spoke with WION's correspondent Anas Malik in Kabul, and this is what he had to say.
Sir, do you think economy can be improved without the involvement of women, because they constitute half of the population and they're an important workforce in different sectors, especially minute industry or other industries? So do you think economy can be improved without their participation?
As I previously mentioned, that Afghanistan is an agricultural country and the international community only looks and focuses on Kabul, which is not the only part of Afghanistan. Even in Kabul, there are organizations and departments where we have women presence available, such as medical, education and several other sectors. However, these pine nuts and some others are coming from other provinces where agriculture is the main part of the income, and Afghanistan's new government is preparing to make work platform for women to work under Islamic and traditional Afghan community. Because Afghanistan is an Islamic country which has its own rules and regulations, and obviously Afghanistan is a traditional country where a woman should have their own proper work area. So regarding the pine nuts, for example, they are currently and practically taking part in the process, because this is an extremely sensitive work which cannot be done by anybody else, so women are taking part in it. And the only place where they are not taking part in it are picking out from the trees, which is a hard job, but all of the jobs are done by women.
Do you have a blueprint on how will you revive or bring the Afghan economy on track, given the dismal scenario that it's currently facing?
For the overall policy, we have divided it into 2 areas, one long-term and one short-term plan. For the short term, we have done quite a few things that we have explained before. For the long term, we are making policies that would bring development and betterness into the Afghan economy.
So what is the biggest challenge and hurdle that you face today?
The biggest challenge that we had previously, which is now solved, was the security situation, the issue of security. But with the help of God, that this is now almost fully solved. The Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan is dedicated that peace times would continue. Obviously, there is a challenge of economy that we have spoken before, but we are hopeful that the international community and our neighbors will assist us in this regard, so that we can bring basic and beneficial policies for Afghanistan.
There are various facts and figures released by UN and international bodies with regards to poverty and starvation. Are you in agreement with that? I'll just quote you a stat. As per the World Food Programme, there are currently 22.5 million people who sleep hungry. And these figures are expected to rise by 97% in the first quarter of the coming year. As per WFP, the poverty is to go up to 97%. What is your take on this?
These figures and facts that have been provided by these organizations, which have been quoted by you, can obviously not be verified to exact details from ground. But it is pretty close to what you quoted, and to a certain extent is true. However, the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan inherited these issues of poverty and starvation from the previous government. And as you know, that these issues we have currently is mostly from and because of the international community, because Afghanistan's money is blocked and there are restrictions imposed on Afghanistan. The Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan is again dedicated to provide services to fullest extent, by meaning all departments are active. All the departments are working, and we expect to get out of these issues.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.